Well, this is video 9A. It's the first of a three-part video series relating to chapter 9, and the overall chapter is talking about assessing our candidates to try to make sure that they are going to fit well in our organization. And the first part here looks at a couple of pages and talks about fit in general. What does that mean? What does it look like? How do we know it when we see it? And how do we project whether it's going to occur or not? So let's get into some types of fit to start with. And the first type that we'll talk about is person-job fit. In this particular type of fit, what we're saying is that the job itself will meet the needs of the individual, and the individual will meet the needs of the job. So there is a good coupling between what I as a candidate bring to the job and what I provide to the job and what I get out of the job. So the idea here is that from the employer's side, this person has the characteristics and the skills and whatnot that is needed to do the job well and will make an impact in the organization. But also from the employee's side or the candidate's side, this job has the kinds of activities and the kinds of rewards that will satisfy the needs of the individual. So we would say that there is a good matchup between what you bring to the job and what you get out of the job. There's a good matchup between what we're going to get from you and what we're going to give to you in return. So person-job fit is kind of important. Second type of fit is person-group fit. So it's not looking so much at whether the employee or the candidate is going to be happy in this particular job. It's looking at whether the employee or the candidate is going to be happy with the people that he or she's going to be working with. And it may be that this job is perfectly suited to me. It meets all of my needs. It takes good use of all of the skills that I have. It provides opportunities. And yet the people who are going to be working around me are horrible. So even though I like this job, I'm not going to get along with the people. I'm not going to get along with the boss. So you see that person-group fit is a match between the individual and the folks that they work with, their peers, the folks in the next cubicle, the people in the next office, the supervisor. So we got to make sure, we tend to focus a lot on that first one, the person-job fit. Will you work well in this role? But we don't always stop to think about whether you're going to get along with your coworkers. And that's why sometimes you'll see in the interview process that the candidate will go in and talk with the manager about the job itself. So we're trying to make sure that there's good person-job fit. But also in the course of that time together, that appointment, the manager, especially if the manager thinks that this candidate might be a good fit with this particular job or this job description and this role, will then take the candidate out and meet some of the colleagues, the coworkers. That is very, very common here in the academic world. When we're looking to hire a new faculty member, we want to make sure that the faculty member candidate is going to work well in terms of the expectations of the classes that he or she's going to teach, the content. So we get the candidate to go to a classroom and teach a class, and we kind of watch and listen. How do the students interact and relate? How does it seem that this person is delivering the material? And hopefully we come out of it thinking that there's a pretty good person-job fit. But another thing that we do when the candidate comes to campus is that we have a series of meetings where other faculty members can sit around the conference table and ask questions and answer questions, and we can get a sense from meeting employees, faculty members, going around knocking on the door, say, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so is a candidate for our position with HR or for management or whatever, and they can chit-chat a little bit and get a sense from the current faculty members that this person's going to be able to come in and be one of us, but also gives that candidate the perspective of whether I think I'm going to enjoy working with these people. Because if I don't like the people, it doesn't matter how great the job is. So person-job fit and person-group fit, and then person-organization fit. We're starting off in a really narrow focus, is this job good? And then we're looking at whether or not the group is good. And now we're saying, does your personality and your values and your belief system match up with what this company claims to be? It would be very, very uncomfortable, probably very disappointing and discouraging if you had a certain belief system and you went to work for a company that did not have those same beliefs. If for example, you have a very high moral standards and you go to work for a company that you find out encourages cheating or defrauding the government or making claims to sell products that we can't really back up, and that's part of the way we do business, then you would say that we don't really agree in terms of what we think is right, and I'm not comfortable here. So personal organization fit is the fit between your values, beliefs, and personality and the values and the norms and the culture of the organization. It's important that we are able to say that we're proud of the company that we work for. I can tell you from an individual standpoint, in terms of all three of these things, that I really kind of know my HR material pretty well. I relate to the students. I like my colleagues. I'm not the outgoing extroverted type that spends a lot of time wandering around talking to the colleagues, but we get along well. We respect each other. I like them, but I really like the School of Business Administration, soon to be the College of Business and Computing. I like GSW. I think it's a great place. So all three of these things really seem to be a match for me. The last type of fit that we talk about here is person vocation fit, and that has nothing to do with the organization that you're working with, but it has everything to do with, is this career right for you? We find a lot of times in college that people declare majors because that seems to be where I need to go to get a job, but they're not passionate about it. Somebody who's really passionate about maybe art or about writing or something like that doesn't feel like getting an art degree or an English degree is going to help them get a job, so they end up doing something that they think is going to pay them well. They get into nursing and it's like, yeah, I just don't like dealing with all these patients, or I don't like blood, or I don't like sticking people with needles. It's like, well, why did you study that? You got hired to be a nurse, and suddenly you're going, I'm not really sure I want to be a nurse after all. We want you in a job where it really enhances you as an individual, and it really gives you an opportunity to pursue things that you're passionate about. So person vocation fit says that your interests and abilities and values and personality line up really well with this career that you've chosen. And so a lot of people, I've known so many people who have gone into teaching. I can remember back even when I was in middle high school, like 6th and 7th grade, where I'd have a teacher one year who was gone the next year, and you say, well, where did so-and-so go? Where did Mr. Such and Such go? And they'd say, oh, he got out of teaching and now he's selling real estate, or he's selling insurance, or doing these other things. And that's because there wasn't a fit with that vocation, that they thought maybe they'd like to be a teacher. It seemed fun to have classroom interactions and have summers off and whatnot. But when they got in the classroom, it's like, man, these little people just annoy me and they don't listen to what I say and whatnot. So person vocation fit. I'd like for you to know these general ideas. You probably know person job fit, and it makes sense that person group fit is about the department that you're working in or the team that you're a part of. Person organization fit is the values of the company. But person vocation fit, and I challenge you as a business student to think about whether you're passionate about business. If you're taking accounting, I don't know why you're in this class, but maybe it's a business elective, but are you passionate about numbers and T accounts and ledgers and things like that? If you're in HR, are you passionate about working with people and advocating for people and finding ways to enhance people and use them towards our strategic goals? If you're in marketing, are you passionate about marketing and sales and things like that? If you're in management, are you passionate about leading organizations and providing direction and strategy and things like that? Make sure that you're passionate about the career that you're looking at going into. It can be nothing more frustrating in life than to be pushing yourself into a vocation that you're really not passionate about. Life is way too short for that to happen. Two other ideas related to fit are supplementary and complementary fit. Complementary fit is that situation that exists when you add something that was missing before. We tend to say that opposites attract when you're dating or you get married, that where I'm very outgoing, I'm kind of attracted to somebody who's a little quieter. When both of us are outgoing, we're competing with each other. If both of us are very quiet and reserved, we sit around and never say anything. So I tend to go for somebody who's got skills and characteristics that I don't have, and I really admire that in you, that you are very decisive. I really admire in you that you never give up, because I quit kind of easily. I admire in you that you've got this talent because I do something completely different. In that regard, when you talk about relationships, spouses, whatnot, it's important that you have things in common that you can do together, but it's really also important that you fill in the gaps that they're missing and you make them whole. It's not necessarily a good thing when you both are a lot alike because you just double what you already had, but you don't do anything about what was missing. The same thing with an employment relationship. When we've got a group of people, it's important from time to time to look and see, well, what are the skills that we don't really have represented here? We don't have anybody that's good with budgets, or we don't have anybody that's good with follow through and details. So when we have the opportunity to hire somebody, one of the things we probably look for is the ability to deal with numbers and deal with budgets. Or one of the things that we look for is the ability to follow through, not necessarily create the vision, but to take somebody else's vision and make it happen. Because we got all these great visions and nothing ever comes of them because nobody has got the skills to do them. Complementary fit is the idea then that you come into an organization and you provide something that was missing. You provide the detail orientation that we didn't have before, and you complement what's already there by adding to it. The supplementary fit idea is that you come in with something we already have and you enhance it. So to some degree we need complementary fit, and to some degree we need supplementary fit, and an individual is not going to be all of one or all the other. There are going to be skills and abilities that that person has that complement or fill in what we didn't have before, but there are going to be other skills that that same person have that we already have that just make us even stronger. So think about it from the perspective that complementary is eliminating a weakness. We never had anybody before who could do this, and now we do. Supplementary is enhancing a positive. We already had folks who were really good in a setting like an educational environment. We like people that can tell stories and relate to students. We've already got some faculty members who do that. We might have a faculty member come in who can also do that, and we say, that's supplementing what we've already got, adding to the characteristics that already exist. So understand the difference between complementary and supplementary. Good opportunity for test questions on the next test, in addition to what you learned from the previous slide on the types of fit. The next thing I want to talk about as we look at fit is trying to answer the question, how do we go about predicting whether somebody's going to work out in the long term or not? And that is what we refer to as assessment outcomes. We can look at the possible outcomes of our assessment of people from a 2x2 grid. One side of the grid, let's call it the up and down side, is on the front end. Do we think that this candidate will be good here? That they'll be good person job fit, they'll be good person organization fit, and person group fit, and person vocation fit, and whatnot. They're going to be good complementary and supplementary fit. If we are looking to hire somebody and we are in the process of interviewing them, spending some time with them, getting to know them, we're trying to evaluate in our head, will they work out or will they not work out? Typically, if we think, they're going to work out, they're going to be able to do this job, they can perform the essential functions, they got the KSAOs, they seem to get along well with the people they're going to work with, this is probably going to be a good employee. Typically what we'll do is we'll hire them, right? We think they'll be good, so we hire them. On the other hand, if we just I'm just not getting a good sense that this person's going to work out, typically what happens, we don't hire them, right? So the initial question is, do we think that they'll be good in this role? If yes, then we hire. If no, then we don't. And then some time passes. And if we've hired them, we look at the question, did they actually turn out to be good? We thought they'd be good. Did they turn out to be that way? And sometimes people we hire because we think they'll be good actually turn out to be good. Sometimes people that we think will be good and we hire turn out to be busts, and we go, we made a mistake hiring them. Sometimes we don't hire people, but we can follow them later. We see that our competitor did hire them, or we maintain a relationship, or they're our friend or whatever, and we don't hire them for this job, but we look at them later when they do get hired by somebody else, and maybe we thought they would be bad, but they turned out to be good. Or maybe we thought that they'd be bad, and as we look at them later, the person, the organization that did hire them didn't like them, and they turned out to be bad. So there's 4 different possibilities here. One of the outcomes is that we think they're going to be good and they turn out to be good. So it is what we call a true positive. We thought it would work and it did work. We were positive about them, or we thought it would be positive, it turned out to be positive. So true positive. Another outcome is we thought that they would be a negative employee or a poor employee, and we saw that they actually were a poor performer. So our estimate that they would be bad turned out to be right. So we thought it was going to be negative, it turned out to be negative. It was a true negative. Top right hand corner here, we thought they would be positive. It turned out that they were positive. It's a true positive. We thought they were going to be negative. It turned out that they were negative, so it is a true negative. So the pluses and the minuses are generally put there to kind of help you visualize it, but don't be confused by the plus minus. A plus minus means that they turned out to be negative when they thought they were going to be negative. Two other possibilities, though. We really like it when we think they're going to be good and we hire them and they do turn out to be good. We really like it if we think they're going to be bad and they don't get hired and they turn out to not be bad because we avoided something that we thought was going to be bad. But it's possible that we think they're going to be bad, and so we don't hire them, but somebody else does and they turn out to be a great employee. And so we would say that that's a false negative because we thought it would be negative, but we were wrong. We thought that they were going to be a bad employee, but in reality they would have been a good employee, so our assessment that they would be bad turned out to be wrong. So it's a false negative. We thought it was going to be a negative relationship, but we were wrong about that assumption. The last possible category is that we think they're going to be a good employee and we hire them and they turn out to be bad. So when we're looking at our assumption was a positive outcome, but we were wrong about that positive assumption. All right, so if we go back and we think about these things again, here we have somebody that we assumed positive and we were right. Here we have somebody that we assumed negative and we were right. Here we have somebody we assumed negative, but we were wrong about that assumption. And here we have somebody that we assumed would be positive, but we were wrong about that assumption. What are we trying to do when this happens, when we go through these processes? We're putting people into one of four boxes. We're trying to get as many correctly in the two green boxes. We think they're going to be good, we hire them, they turn out to be good. We think they're going to be bad, we don't hire them, and they in fact turn out to where they would not have been good, they would have been bad. This thing can get a little confusing. A lot of times when I'm trying to describe this in a face-to-face setting in the classroom, I kind of get backed up in my thought processes and I have to back up and say, no, wait a minute, I just said the wrong thing. I've explained it right in this video, so maybe for the first time in my academic career I've actually described this grid correctly. Think about it from the perspective of this, for the third time here, a fourth time here. We either think they're going to be good or bad, and we turn out to either be right or wrong. We think they're going to be bad, and we were right. They were bad. We think they're going to be good. We were right. They were good. We think they were going to be bad, but we were wrong. They didn't turn out to be bad. They turned out to be good. Or we think they're going to be good, and we were wrong. They turned out to be bad. Hopefully that all makes sense, and that you can kind of describe this maybe in an essay kind of thing, or you can list kind of what should be in each of the four boxes. The last two slides we're going to have here kind of reinforces what I said in that last little section there. What's our objective when we're hiring? We want to have more and more true positives and true negatives. Let's see. More true positives and more true negatives. We want to have more, we want to have better assessment on who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. When we think they're going to be good, we want them to turn out to be good. When we think they're going to be bad, we want them to actually turn out to be bad. So we want to have more true positives, more true negatives, and we want to have fewer false negatives and false positives. Remember that the false negative is somebody that we thought wouldn't work out, but really they would have. And we want to hire the people that are going to work out. The false positive is the people that we thought would be good and they turned out to be bad. We don't want either one of those circumstances to occur. What's the ultimate goal in the hiring process? It's not to find the one who gets trained the most quickly. It's not the one who costs the least. The ultimate goal in our hiring process is to find the person who's going to be the most successful. And theoretically, if we find one who's going to be successful and they become successful, they stay for a while, they do great things for us, and they make us better as an organization. As I look at my time here, we're a little bit under what the normal video is, so we're not going to prolong the issue. Hopefully you got the main ideas out of this, and we will end the 9A video and start thinking towards the 9B video. So I'll say goodbye for now, and we will pick back up again in another recording at some point in the very near future from your perspective, probably in a couple of minutes from mine. Bye for now.